Good afternoon. Thank you very much for that warm and touching introduction, and for the incredible art that we saw before that from our young people, which reminds us all why we do the work that we do. I would like to thank the National Guild, its board, its staff for this wonderful honor. It means a tremendous amount to me and to our institution to be recognized in this way by you all. And so I deeply appreciate it. And on behalf of our young people, my staff, my board of directors, thank you all very, very much. In 1912, in Lawrence, Massachusetts, a group of mostly women, mostly immigrants, were on strike. And they were striking for the rights that they felt all people deserved. And they framed their strike with words that still resonate over 100 years later, that resonate throughout the labor movement, that resonate throughout the artistic movement. And that is the theme of bread and roses, something many of us are familiar with. The idea that people of all backgrounds, and specifically all economic backgrounds, deserve sustenance for their body and for their spirit. Bread and roses. Sustenance for their body and beauty for their spirit, which I would say is art. Bread and roses as a theme is something that I think can inspire so many of us in this room as we think about our work. What does it take to help young people develop into strong bodies, but also strong souls? That's the core mission of Brotherhood Sister Soul. It is to provide intensive, comprehensive support to young people. Our theory of change is to provide support, guidance, education, and love, and we don't shy away from that word love, to teach them to form discipline and order in their life, and then to create pathways by providing opportunities and access so that they can develop agency. That's our theory: support, guidance, education, love, discipline, and order, and then creating access so that they can develop agency. We believe that will help young people, number one, break cycles of poverty, number two, form a moral and ethical code on who they want to be as men and women, leaders in their community, and number three, to become social change makers. And so art runs throughout all the work of Brotherhood Sister Soul, but it's specifically within the theme of art and activism, art and social justice. How does one use art or storytelling, one's voice, to help create change? How do you use art and social justice to develop young leaders? We provide a rites of passage model that is comprehensive. It means women are guiding girls and men are guiding boys on what it means to be men and women, leaders, brothers and sisters in their community. It's about spending 6 years with children as they're forming a moral and ethical code that will help provide the direction for their life. It's about helping them learn about issues of sustainability in the environment. It's about providing opportunities for them to spend a month with us. That's the essence of our Rites of Passage program, as we spend a month in Ghana and South Africa, Brazil, Dominican Republic, and Haiti, getting connected to the culture and art that is both international and yet local because it is theirs, to get them to see the diversity of the world and the singularity of the world. As we just heard in terms of myth, that so many of our journeys are interconnected, so much of our culture is interconnected, and it's part and parcel of our work, and it's essential for the development of our young people. At Brotherhood Sister Soul, we work with a population of young people called by our society poor. That's the word that's used. Economically deprived. We push back on that. If you look up the word poor in the dictionary, it says without merit, lacking in value, having no worth. We reject the idea that our children are poor because they're born into economic conditions through no fault of their own. But instead, we see the incredible beauty within them, the incredible ability to overcome within them, And so we help to open channels and pathways so that they can really become strong adults, so that they can become social change makers. We believe a central part of that is done through storytelling. That if we really are to help break down the lines, so many of the lines that divide us today as a society, we need to be able to share our experience, the interconnected nature of our humanity. Chinua Achebe, the writer from Nigeria, framed this as imaginative identification. It's a really revolutionary and profound theory, imaginative identification. What it means is that when you hear the story of another, you don't just empathize. You don't just understand what the narrator is talking about, but you instead become one with the narrator. Her experience in poverty becomes yours. His experience as an immigrant becomes yours. The injustice that that person faces becomes yours. And I think that art at its best can do that. It can help us to identify with another's experience. And so the experience of the undocumented is not something outside the room, but instead it is here in the room. The experience of the immigrant is here in the room. The experience of the child born poor, black and brown, is in the room. And because it is in the room, because it becomes our story, it brings the issue of social justice into all of our hearts. When we live in a society currently that has the kind of inequality that our society continues to have, whether it's the violence that the nation reads about on the streets of Chicago, whether it's the profound educational segregation that folks read about in terms of what's going on in New York City, recently found to have the most segregated school system in the United States of America, New York. 1.1 million children are in the public school system. Only 70% graduate. Of those that graduate, only 30% graduate college ready. That means able to go to community college without the need for remedial support. That is an abomination, that we as adults allow our children to be born into those types of conditions, to attend the schools they attend, without art programs, without the technology they need, without the preparation to compete in society. And so if we look back 100 years to the idea of bread and roses, it provides some kind of guidance in terms of what our children need. They need sustenance for their bodies and for their minds and for their spirits. And we all know in this room that art is an essential part of that. It is not an additional piece, it is not some augmented piece, it is not on the side, but it is absolutely central to all children's development. And so I think that whatever space we work in, whatever areas of the country we work in, whatever specific approach we have to integrating the arts and youth development or education, that message needs to be a part of all of our work. That this is not a question of whether children can have access to the arts, but it is a mandatory responsibility in this country that for their development as moral and ethical contributors to society, they must have art in their lives, that it is essential to their development. And so when we talk about their safety in the streets of New York, or we talk about their safety in the streets of Chicago, their safety is also about their spiritual safety, that they are able to grow and develop and to become strong, whole adults. And that should be the goal for all of our children, regardless of where they're born, economically, racially, and what part of this country. That is the message of Brotherhood Sister Soul, that we will provide the comprehensive youth development work that provides all these access and opportunity. We will be unyielding in that, in providing a political analysis for our young people so that they can understand the conditions they were born into. We will then help train the field on our model. We've published 5 books of curricula, and we train teachers and school systems, and we work with folks in community-based institutions, and we work with individual youth workers. Whatever background you come from, we believe we can help you to utilize our approach. And then number 3, which is a space that often groups, especially nonprofits, shy away from. We are very directly involved in the political and policy conversations of the day, demanding that our schools are equitable, demanding that the segregation that we continue to see in our schools end, demanding that our children have access to high-performing jobs and schools. We think that is essential to our work. We will work with the child, and we will seek to change the policy. So we work in all three of those spaces, and yet it all comes back to the same mission: the support of children, the guidance of children, providing love to children, and education to children. And that if we do that, they will have the agency to seek out change in their own right. That's what our work is about. That's what our mission has been since its founding. Our 4 themes are positivity, knowledge, community, and future. And I think if you travel the world, whatever language somebody speaks, people want positivity in their life, they want to seek knowledge, they want to have a strong future, and they want to do it within a sense of community. And I think if we remember that, and we hear the stories that our children tell, if we really listen to them, that it will better us, and in the end, it will better our children. Thank you.